You're now listening to the Zod and Drea podcast.
Oh, hey, what's up? This is the Zod and Drea podcast. We're coming back at you.
This is going to be another fantastic episode.
Yeah, so this is going to be another episode, something that we're going to be just killing it. So before we get into all that, how was your weekend?
Mine is pretty good.
Mine was good too.
I actually participated in the American Heart Association Walk for Heart Health. Saving lives. That's what we're trying to do. That was on Saturday.
All right. So yeah, it was good practice for some of the stuff that we're going to be getting into.
Definitely.
So anybody out there in Arizona listening, make sure you be aware because Zod and Drea is coming with something pretty soon. So we hope to get a lot of people involved and we're going to need your help. Right now, we can't address exactly what it is.
We got to be super secret.
Super secret. Shh, but it's
don't
tell
nobody.
Quiet. But it's going to be coming soon.
Spring.
So we're going to be having fun with that. But my weekend was awesome. I think one of the best parts was we had our friend today that we went to go get some pho for with my girl Sherry Reynolds, who I haven't seen in a while. So hopefully she gets through all that volleyball stuff her daughter's doing, and her daughter goes to the championship, but we'd love to hang out with her again, and she got to come up on the show.
I got to spend some really cool time with my parents today and got to learn about some stuff about my father and what he's been doing in the community to reach out to people that helped him when he was a kid. So it was really cool to learn about that today.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. We'll have to talk about that later on.
I know. Maybe we can bring him on the show.
Maybe. Oh, I can tell you, Drea.
My dad's the best storyteller ever. I love it.
We'll be all overtime.
It'll be great.
All right, so let's talk about, we're going to get into this. What's the entertainment that we're going to talk about?
We're going to talk about Ready Player One. So that was the movie that we saw this week, and I'm ready to share about it. I think it was a great movie.
I thought it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. And, of course, politically, we're going to talk about Stormy Daniels and the Trump administration. Just kind of clear all the air that's going on because it's such a whirlwind. And, with her and McDougal and, whatever it is, we're going to probably get into more of a permanent topic later about just politics and, what well, we kind of did that with the past, what the past has to do, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. And the main topic?
Recognizing privilege when dating a person of color.
See, that's going to be interesting because I
think we both have personal experiences on that.
We both dated outside of our race, and I had some pretty good experiences, but what you want? It can always be better. So let's get into it. Let's get it out of the way and let's just talk about Stormy Daniels real quick.
Oh, Stormy.
Go Stormy. Oh, Stormy.
See, so for me, it's this two-way thing, right? So it's like, I really don't care about Trump's sexual escapades. I don't care. I don't care what he said or did or if they've got video. I really hope they don't have video because I really don't want to see a sex video of Trump, right?
Yeah.
That I don't care about, right? You had sex, you've had your affairs, fine. What I'm wanting to know, though, is, again, when it comes to the payoff, right? That seems to be the big issue, is that, well, where this payoff money come from? Was it from a campaign? Was it something you were trying to hide? And if so, how does that affect then? Because it happened during your campaign. So how does that then trickle into everything now that you're in office? That's the only interest I really have in it. Otherwise, I don't care about all the women that have come out and said they've had an affair with him.
See, an affair is one thing, but there are also a bunch of women that says he's also sexually assaulted them. See, that's also another level of. So my other problem is the Cult 45 who winds up believing absolutely 100% of everything that he does. And that's an issue because no matter, he literally told you that he can stand on the corner of a Fifth Avenue and shoot someone dead and he will still not lose voters. When somebody's that confident in their voting base, there's something wrong with the base. There's something wrong with that. So, here comes Stormy Daniels saying, no, I want to tell my story. I didn't, I had a non-disclosure confidentiality agreement, and I want to have it broken. Oh, but nothing happened. Yeah, but they paid me $30,000. it's like, all right, well, who did? Then all of a sudden, to fall on his sword, that Daniel Cohn dude falls on his sword, because he's so loyal. He's one of those guys that'll watch him shoot him on on Fifth Avenue.
Right.
And he's like, no, you can't talk about that because it'll break the contract, because David Dennison, a.k.a. Donald Trump, he didn't sign it, but, we still paid you. But he said he had to take out a loan on his house in order to pay. So what are you paying her for then? What did you do then?
Right.
If you're going to fall on your sword for dude, then what are you so trying to keep her quiet about? But then considering that Dennison, a.k.a. Trump, hasn't, just came out on Air Force One saying that he didn't, he has nothing to do with that. You're going to have to ask. He just put it all on Cohen, which means pretty much basically he's denying that it exists. If he denies that it exists, that means
that
the
contract's
NDA
null and void.
is null and void. So we're going to see what happens. Now it's going to just be between Stormy Daniels and David Cohen. So I don't know what way that's going to go, but this dude, or Michael Cohen. I keep saying David because David Dennison is Michael Cohen. I know, right?
All combined.
Clown. But because of that, that's going to wind up his base isn't going to care, because they're thinking, oh, he's my taxes. I got an extra $100 back. Like,
right.
Meanwhile,
and he's doing things.
Yeah, he's doing things. Meanwhile, Disney got back billions, but enjoy your $100. The one time, like 100 or 1,000, whatever. Enjoy that one time fee.
You didn't get a pay increase.
No.
You just got a taxable.
3 years from now, guess what? You're still living off that 100.
Right.
So cool, thumbs up. But he's looking out for the corporations. Same with McDougal. She's talking about she was like in love with him and all this other stuff. That other
that's the Playboy bunny.
Yeah, all cute and stuff.
I know.
Big doe eyes. I'm like, what's wrong with you? But no, this guy obviously has cheated on all of his wives. He's a horrible person. Of course, the evangelist on the right.
That's who I have a problem with right now. Is all of these Christian evangelists that support him. And when you remember seeing that CNN episode with all these women,
all of them,
these Trump loyalists, again, choose whoever you want, but if you're saying you're a Christian, and then they were quick to crucify these two women, call them whores, call them gold diggers, but yet they said, no, now Trump has claimed that he's now found God. All of that's in the past. That doesn't matter.
Even though his Twitter feed says something completely different. Meanwhile, Obama, who was going to church, doing all these things, celebrating Christmas. No, he's a Muslim. He's a terrorist.
Can't trust him.
He's tearing
the
up
devil.
America, and he's the devil. And really? Like, you can't even try to tell me that's not racism.
The hypocrisy
like, you
is
can't even
so deep.
tell me that. Otherwise, if you think that what's his name, Trump is more Christ-like than Obama was, Obama trying to bridge gaps. He's trying to bridge a divide. He was trying to at least look out for DACA and all this, and Trump is trying to break all that break bridges and divide people. Like,
Come
please,
on.
Jesus should strike you down right now.
I hope he does.
I hope he does, and I won't care. Anyway, let's go on. We're going to talk about Ready Player One now.
Now, was this based on what, a book, right?
Apparently, I guess it was based on a novel. Our friend Kristen went and did what she does all the time, which is read the friggin' book before she goes to see the movie. Then she complains about the movie. Shout out to Kristen, even though that was stupid.
Poor thing.
But I think it was based on a book, and they translated it to a movie. So, directed by Steven Spielberg, I believe.
Look, I had a good time, and I didn't have any expectations going into this movie. I just thought, all right, it sounds like a gamer maybe themed movie. We'll see what happens. I was surprised about how enjoyable this was.
And it was enjoyable. So I don't know these Ty Sheridan, whatever. I guess he played the main dude.
They all seem to be like new actors,
They all
right?
seem new, like Ty Sheridan. So he was Parzival / Wade, and Olivia Cook was Artemis. Even though she sounds kind of familiar, I don't know why. But what it was pretty much, I guess, it was in the future. People are living in this crazy. It wasn't fully Mad Max, but it, in order for you to escape, it seemed like everybody was tied into this one system that this 1 billion trillionaire, I forget, he was a trillionaire.
Trillionaire, right.
Trillionaire had created, where it's almost like, imagine everybody connected in the cloud, sort of like The Sims.
Like a VR game that people just can lose themselves, and like people are living in the most horrible conditions, And I guess people get so addicted to wanting to escape reality and play this game that it actually impacts their real life, where people will give all their money, right? Wasn't it like they can...
Yeah, there's some people that were losing their money.
They will like spend every last dime to get whatever, let's say, equipment and like tools and extra stuff to add to their game experience. But if they lose everything, like all their money, their house, and then they have to owe the game company all that back money, and then they force them into almost like a game slavery camp.
It was like a game slavery. It literally was a game slavery camp.
To pay off the debt.
To pay off your debt. Like, it was wild. But people were so lost inside of this cloud in video game that they had whatever characters they wanted to be. So in other words, whoever you were in real life, you know, you can actually improve upon yourself, or whoever you think in your head, and be that character and be that avatar. So that's what they did. And Ready Player One, the main guy who was the creator of the game, wound up making a game where the winner who can find these 3 keys and then do something at the end will be able to what was it?
Like get 55% of the company or something like that?
No, I think they controlled...
full control of the company.
Full control of it, as well as the money, which was like $1 trillion. Like, they were going to like get a lot of money, like a lot of money. Like,
kind of Willy Wonka-ish.
Yeah, and you had to get all these clues, but the dude, like, people had been looking for clues, including this, you know, the IO1 or IOI or something like that. They were looking for this these clues for years, like 5 years after the guy's death or something like that. No one found it until, you know, this one kid did. And then it just became a game of cat and mouse trying to get, like, I mean, imagine one kid gets one key for something that an entire company, a conglomerate, was looking for a year.
Right.
Like,
very kind of Matrixy in a little bit, in a way of, like, this one person who may have a key to break a system.
But then it wound up being where they tried to get him in real life, not just online, but in real life, get him, because, you know, first you try and entice him, and then when he's not giving up the goods, you know, you wind up trying to bust his balls.
What was really cool was that the creator of the this game that had everybody hunting down all these clues, they had to go into his memories and really know him, and like have to memorize all of his likes. And he was a big fan of 80s music, 80 culture, even like R&B music. Did you hear, like, there was even some scenes where you were playing like Earth, Wind and Fire, and different like movies from the 80s that he loved. So it was kind of like that pop culture mix. You definitely have to be versed on the pop culture in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, to be able to catch that. And so I liked it a lot because I think it touched on that nostalgia, but it was also the video game play. I think it touched on a lot of things that people are going to want. I don't know what the weekend take was, but maybe it was...
So far, it's been $96 million as of been in playing for 11 days.
All right. Well, anyway, after the break, we're going to get into this next topic.
Listen carefully. Please listen carefully.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Zod.
And I'm Drea.
And we want you to check out the Zod and Drea podcast every Tuesday.
Where can everybody find us at?
You can always check us out on www.zodanddrea.com.
Where else?
You can always check us out also on Facebook at Zod and Drea.
Instagram?
Zod and Drea.
Snapchat?
Zod and Drea.
YouTube?
Zod and Drea.
I see a pattern.
So if you haven't caught that, catch us at Zod and Drea on all the social networks. But also, make sure you subscribe to the Zod and Drea podcast. Where?
At zodanddrea.com.
And also on YouTube and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. We're coming for you.
Let us know what you think. And if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
And put all of your input into whatever our topics are for the week. So we hope to check you out and see you there.
Bye.
All right, we're back, people.
So we're going to talk about this, I think, very interesting topic, recognizing privilege when dating a person of color.
Yeah, so this isn't so much for the people of color as it is for those who are melanin deficient, some of the Caucasians out there who believe that dating a person of color means that they are entitled to adapt to you when you should also adapt to them. Culturally, we're going to wind up being different, and especially if you're new to somebody of a different culture or race, you better catch up quick, know when to speak, when to shut up, and when to listen. So let's talk a little bit about this.
Sure, sure. I can just reference some personal experiences of dating, just off and on, very casually, never had a serious relationship with any white men. But again, just the dates that I've had with white men have been where I've been treated like this exotic object. Like, oh, you're Latina.
Yeah, so
How is that? Wow.
So you might have been like a conquest of some sort.
Right, right. And it would it would kind of like throw them off a little bit when they would realize, and I would acknowledge, like, I'm educated, I have a career, and I don't have children. It threw them off. Like, what do you mean? But can you cook? Oh my God, I would get asked that a lot. Like, but can you cook? Like, is that like a marker? Like, I
Or is
need.
that a requirement?
Right. It was so odd. And then, there would be times if I would be on their arms at like an event or at maybe place in public. This one guy introduced me as, "Oh, this is my sexy Latina friend."
Ugh.
I wanted, and I was so offended. I threw my arm down. I'm like, "Yeah, we're done. I gotta go." So my experiences haven't been that great.
Now, see, mine were really cool because I think they knew exactly where I was coming from, and I think that those that I had dated interracially, and we're talking white, Asian, Latina, like I've dated pretty much everything in the books. But I think that the cultural ones that I've had, such as with Asians, they have such a different culture than I did, and I vice versa, that I think there was more of an openness to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So there was more of an openness to learn about each other's cultures, just in case, even though we may have dated other people of those same backgrounds, but it's always so cool to learn more. Maybe if they're Asian, they hung out in Chinatown, whatever. I'm like, oh, what is it like in blah, blah, blah? What's the food like there? Let me taste this because I've never had this before. Oh, this is really good. You should taste this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to a soul food restaurant. Oh, okay, that's cool. And it was good, some good back and forth. Oh, what about, some of the historical aspects of our relationship is really important as well, because, and not just historical, but also just the current events that may have been going on at the time between maybe Asians or Latinas or and who else? God, I think I have a few others, but they were culturally, we were all people of color, let's just say. So there were some things that we wound up enjoying together, but also learning separately. But I knew when to ask the questions because there were always questions that I like on how to ask to them. So there was a mutual respect and understanding on being in the United States, how we wound up relating to each other.
Right.
But when it came to white people, it's almost like sometimes when looking back on it, the topic was never addressed. Or I'm not sure how they felt because they never asked. But, I would always say, oh, I can't believe white people would do blah, 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 blah. And here I am, kind of looking hypocritical, a little bit dating one. But, some would ask, like, oh, well, what is it? And we would have that not argument, but that discussion. Some would just be completely, might be just
oblivious
to what I'm even talking about. But for the most part, would have a willingness to learn, because I would not be able to date anybody who would not have a willingness to learn about my culture.
And again, we're not at all about not saying don't date anybody white or, but yeah, we're totally support. Do whatever you want. We're just saying that if this happens, this is some things that you need to recognize. Understand when you are dating somebody of color and you are not, that there's just some guidelines you need to know. Like I had this experience, and I know some other friends of mine have had this experience where we've dated white men that have this guilt of, oh, I've grown up with all this money and I've been surrounded by all these white people my whole life. Oh, and you probably have never been around all of this before, but I feel so guilty about it, and I want to date you because you've come from a place of struggle, and I want to show my friends and family that I'm better than them because I am now dating somebody that is part of the struggle and giving it to the man.
That's like the liberalism. That's the those are the white liberals that just don't
get, like,
you don't get it. You're like, you're like half ally, but you still don't freaking get it.
Right. Like,
but then when you try and correct them, they're like, no, I already know this.
I'm not racist, or
I'm not racist. I already know this. It's like, no, you don't. Everybody has a willingness to learn, and when you shut off that willingness to learn about someone else's because you think you know it all. I already know it. Like, what? No, you don't know it all. You don't know what it's like to live in a white man's world as a person of color. And if anybody is trying to, everything's equal, it's not. There's a reason why white people don't wear dashikis to work to a job interview. Why do we wear a suit?
Why?
See, it's funny. Let's see, the culturalism got you.
You're right. I was
in certain African countries, you'll wear, a dashiki or whatever. That's
because that's the formal gear.
That's the formal. So why not wear that to a job interview? But instead, you're required to wear what the pilgrims or whatever came over. You're required to wear what they do. There's a reason why only 50% of people with black sounding names wind up getting their resume picked up, and for a job interview, if your name is Deshaun, they may be like, oh, he's black, pass it on. It's almost like you purposely have to name your kids John, Billy, or whatever in order just to get that leg up.
And taking trips to other countries, saying taking trips to Africa or taking trips to Mexico or Peru does not qualify you for truly understanding that cult, like that you get it.
Well, there are like 54 countries in Africa, but yes.
But well, sorry. See again.
But what you have to do is you have to check your privilege. You have to check you have to realize, okay, I'm white. And I'm the person now and if you're coming into their family, you are now the minority. So if you're going to the cookout, you are now the minority. You're not bringing all your white friends and your college buddies. You're not bringing them to see your black girlfriend. You are now inside of this circle, this sacred circle, and you had better start listening and speak when spoken to about certain topics. Okay, so don't just say, well, I always, people talking about race relations about when, well, I saw the movie Get Out, so, I understand where you're coming from. It's like shut the hell up.
Or what do we see on Saturday Night Live with Wakanda?
Oh, Wakanda, yeah. Wakanda, yeah. Wakanda. There's certain things that you're going to have to refrain from, like the N-word. You're going to have to refrain. Just because you are white, dating a black person doesn't mean you're automatically in.
Right.
Check your privilege. Check what you are. If you're going to do anything, use your white privilege to help your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it is, help them come up in the game to, check them. If you see somebody sitting there like, hey, you know what? Why didn't you check her resume? Or if just like in the movie Get Out, if a cop asks for the passenger who's black, your spouse's information, and they don't have a right to, be like, yo, for what? For what? Use your privilege for good. But if you're trying to be like Agent Freeman, speaking in front of T'Challa's mother and M'Baku, and speaking out of turn, it's like, yo, these are black folks talking. We got to do that to you. Just understand where you are in this relationship. This is common sense. If you're Irish, and don't be like, oh, well, I'm Irish, so, I have lots of culture. I don't know what your culture is in Ireland.
I don't.
In Ireland, but not in the United States, okay? You're going to have to tell me what white culture is because I have no idea what white culture is. I'll tell you what black culture is. We got hip-hop. We got all kinds of dance moves. We got drums. Like we do. We have a bunch of dreadlock and hair tips that we can take. Twerking is a black cultural thing. There's a lot of culture inside. The food, collard greens,
that's where you really find the line. Like, where it's from culture is from food. Look.
Food, cultural, all this. I'm not to say white people don't, because you can pick and choose. Italians, yes, they have culture, especially in their food. Italians do have a culture in family. It's a lot of it is surrounded with family, but they have a culture. Who else? I don't know if the Irish culture, I don't know what you guys would be eating.
And besides on St. Patrick's Day, I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Jewish, yes. You'll have a culture. You have the religion to back you up. You got the food and the latkes and the challah bread and all that other stuff. You
the kugel.
The kugel. Shout out to Barry.
Shout out. I've been kugel-fied.
Kugel. You'll have all that, and that's cool. But we don't know what else besides that within white culture, within white American culture. So when you're dating someone outside of your race, understand that they are going to have a cultural difference from you that you just have to open up to understand.
Do not conform, and that goes for both sides. Neither one of you should conform. It's just if you're both open to understanding each other's background, each other's family isms, whatever that is, just be open. Don't feel that you have to, again, conform or change yourself, but just sit back and let it happen around you and take it in. And like you said, listen, and that's it. If someone addresses you and wants to have a conversation with you, great. You don't have to insert yourself for everything. Just sit back and enjoy what is happening around you.
Now, we have a whole bunch of, I have a whole bunch of family members who are interracially mixed.
Mm-hmm.
They've had children,
So
the
do
whole
I.
nine. Like, I have a bunch of friends, and, everything gets along. I don't know what their discussion is. They may have a whole different discussion. Some people just don't talk about it.
Right.
But then, let's say the shit hits the fan, let's say Trump does something that's really wild. I don't know, something, there's my African American. We're going to throw these Mexicans over the wall because they're all bringing bad people. And, you're sitting there, you're a white guy dating a Mexican woman. Like, you got to be sweating bullets at some point. You got to be sweating bullets at some
Right.
point. Where do you wind up picking up the mantle to discuss that? It's like, to me, it's like all you got to do is ask. Ask questions, but don't assume. You know what? He's right. Those Mexicans, and some of them be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Yeah, all the immigrants should come in the right way. We've seen that.
I've seen that. I know some. They're not coming to the next quinceañera or barbecue.
Yeah, they're not coming.
Okay?
Yeah, they're not coming. Yeah, they're not coming to Cinco de Mayo.
They're not invited to the carne asada cookout. No,
Yeah,
no.
they're not invited. And there's a lot of them that wind up doing that. Where to me, it's just the colonialism stuck so hard that
Right.
they now differentiate themselves from other Latinas.
Mm-hmm.
And there are black people that wind up doing the same, where they feel that they are now the better.
Right.
They feel they are now the better because they have a one-up when, some of these people would love to enslave you, would love to say the N-word around you. They probably do, wind up rapping some rap song and don't censor themselves because they're like, I dare you to say anything. This is my world. If you just check and recognize your privilege, you can wind up learning a lot more about people of color and seeing. Differences are a beautiful thing.
Right.
They really are. Like, the thing is, one thing I don't understand about American culture is the fact that people always want to have the same. There was a Trump,
Forced to conform.
remember the black Trump woman, the one who's complaining.
Uh-huh.
She was complaining that, every job I go to, I have to, I can't get a job because I don't speak Spanish. And you got, why don't they come into this country and learn English? And it's like, why, you've been in this country how long, and why haven't you learned Spanish? Like, what is wrong with picking up a different skill? Like, you can't come to a relationship, and if that person is a Spanish speaker or speaks Swahili or,
Farsi,
whatever, hell, they speak Italian. I don't care what it is they speak. Take the opportunity to learn that. I mean, Kobe Bryant knows Italian.
Mm-hmm.
My two boys, Ian and Paul, they speak fluent Mandarin. Yeah, I think it was Mandarin, not Cantonese. I think it's Mandarin. They speak it fluently. Who would not want to learn how to learn another language and speak that fluent? Like, it's a beautiful thing. It's not something made to separate.
And now, again, it's like what you keep emphasizing. It's just recognizing you have a power, you have a privilege, okay? Let's just use it for the right way. And it's a great thing you've got a privilege. It's great.
Yeah, white privilege exists. Whether or not you want to believe it, it exists in this country. It was established as soon as the Pilgrims came, told the Native Americans get the fuck out, and enslaved black people for 250 years, threw the natives on reservations, had Reconstruction, Jim Crow, threw the Japanese in internment camps, and now we have police shootings and mass incarceration for people of color, and now you want to, I guess, show that Muslims are now evil and Latinos should belong over the wall despite them being
No
wherever
caravans,
they're from.
right.
No caravans. It's like, when you have all that stacked up, you have to see where the privilege is.
Right. And what I'm saying by it being great, that it is something then that is such a powerful tool that you have, that it can be, again, used for so much good.
And you got to recognize that good. So in your relationship, if you're dating somebody of color, recognize your privilege and then just speak on it in a positive attitude. And trust me, you will love the culture that you wind up into.
And the impact you'll make will be seen and have a huge reach.
But respect it. Do not take our hip hop from us. Don't take any. You're already twerking, and we don't even like that anymore, all right? So
and anyway, I hate Taco Tuesdays.
There is no taco. Anyway, that's a whole different topic. Yo, thanks for checking us out. Make sure you check us out at www.zodandrea.com or everywhere on social networks at Zodandrea.
And again, like we always ask, tell us what you think. Reply to us. Are you in an interracial relationship right now? Are you a white man or woman that is dating somebody of color? Share with us then your experience and your stories and your thoughts about what we've shared today.
And make sure if you want, you can even call us directly and leave a voicemail at 602-786-9998. And we'd love to hear back from you. Okay?
An invitation is always open if you want to come into the studio.
Yep, no doubt. So we will talk to you later.
Bye.